She should have run the second she saw the dragon tattoo snaking up his neck, but the stack of cash he threw on the stage kept her heels planted. Now she was alone in his penthouse, and the most feared Mafia boss in Korea just locked the door behind them. "Virgin," he murmurs, fingers tracing her curves possessively. "Doesn't matter. By morning, you'll be addicted to me, and God help anyone who tries to take you away." Welcome to K-Fairy Tales Stories, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. The cash hit the stage with a sound that cut through the bass. Belfrek John froze mid-spin, her dark skin gleaming under purple lights, curves wrapped in silver that left almost nothing to imagination. She'd been dancing at Club Obsidian for 3 months, long enough to recognize big spenders. This wasn't a big spender. This was something else entirely. Kang Min-ho sat in the VIP section like he owned the building. He probably did. Everyone in Seoul's underground knew the name. 32 years old, heir to the Kang Syndicate, a man who'd built his empire on fear and precision. His tailored black suit probably cost more than her yearly rent, but it was his eyes that made her breath catch. Dark, focused, predatory. They tracked her movement like she was the only thing in the room worth watching. The other girls whispered warnings. "Don't make eye contact with that one. He's dangerous. Men who look at you like that either want to own you or destroy you. Sometimes both." Belfrek had laughed it off. She'd dealt with dangerous men before. She was a 24-year-old woman from Lagos trying to survive in a foreign country. Danger was just another Tuesday. But when Min-ho's fingers curled around his whiskey glass, when that dragon tattoo shifted with the movement of his neck, something primal in her recognized a different kind of threat. The kind you don't walk away from. The kind that changes everything. Her set ended. She collected bills with practiced efficiency, avoiding the section where he sat. Her manager appeared at her elbow, face tight with something between fear and greed. "VIP requests you private room. He's offering triple your rate." "I don't do private rooms, house rule." Her voice stayed steady despite her racing pulse. "He's offering 10 times your rate just to talk." The manager's grip on her arm tightened. "Don't be stupid, Belfrek. Men like him don't ask twice." She should have refused. Should have grabbed her bag and walked out. Should have listened to every instinct screaming that this was a mistake. Instead, she found herself following a bodyguard through velvet hallways to a room that smelled like expensive cologne and danger. Min-ho stood by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, Seoul spread beneath him like a kingdom. He didn't turn when she entered. "You're Nigerian." His English was flawless, accent barely there. Lagos, specifically. "How long have you been in Korea?" 6 months. "How do you know where I'm from?" "I know everything about everyone in my establishments." He finally faced her, and the intensity in his gaze made her skin warm. "Belfrek John overstayed your tourist visa by 4 months. Working illegally, sending money back to your mother who's sick. You're smart, resourceful, and you have a problem." Heat flooded her face, part anger, part fear. "If you're going to report me, just do it." "I'm not going to report you. I'm going to make you an offer. I don't sleep with clients." Her chin lifted. "No matter how much they pay." Something that might have been respect flickered in his eyes. "I don't pay for intimacy. I have no shortage of willing partners. But you, I want to devour you right now. So help me, God." "Why?" Belfrek asked. "Look at those curves. Those confident features. It's unlike any I've ever seen. It's enough to shift everything in my body. I need to savor all of it. And Kang Min-ho usually gets what he wants." "I'm a virgin," Belfrek blurted out before she could even think. Kang Min-ho let out a sly smile. "A virgin stripper? Tell me another joke." "I really am a virgin. No man has ever been with me before." When it became clear that she was indeed serious about her virginity, Kang Min-ho was jolted from his lustful reverie. "In that case, I'll call my driver to take you back. I have no patience for innocence. I prefer experience." But Belfrek didn't respond. She was processing his proposition. The money he offered would cover her mother's medical bills, her visa issues, everything. In exchange, she'd belong to him. It was tempting. It was insane. It was dangerous. It was the kind of deal that destroyed lives. She replied in 3 words. "I accept." "Deal? You accept which? Going home or losing your innocence?" Kang Min-ho probed. "I'm a virgin, but use me as you wish," she replied, determination in her eyes. Min-ho's control shattered like glass. The professional mask he wore, the careful distance he maintained, everything dissolved the moment those words left her lips. "I'm a virgin, but use me as you wish." He crossed the room in 2 strides, catching her wrists. "Stop, you don't know what you're offering." "I know exactly what I'm offering." Belfrek met his gaze without flinching. "You want me. I need what you can give me." We both get what we want. This isn't a transaction. Minho's grip tightened slightly. If I cross that line with you, there's no going back. I don't do gentle, I don't do sweet. And I sure as hell don't do temporary. Then don't. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Make it permanent, make it forever. Just don't send me away. You have no idea what you're asking for. Then show me. The kiss that followed was nothing like the romance novels Belfrek had read. It was consuming, possessive, a claiming that left no room for doubt about who was in control. Minho's hands tangled in her hair, angling her head exactly how he wanted it, demanding everything she offered and more. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Last chance, he said against her lips. Walk away now and I'll forget this happened. I'll send you home with enough money to solve your problems. But if you stay, if you give yourself to me, you become mine. Not just tonight, not just your body. All of you. Belfrek's hands found the buttons of his shirt, fingers trembling slightly but determined. I'm already yours. I think I have been since the moment you looked at me on that stage. Minho caught her hands again, bringing them to his lips. Then understand this, once I have you, I don't share. I don't let go. Men will look at you and know you belong to me. You'll wear my marks, you'll carry my scent. And if anyone tries to touch what's mine, I'll destroy them. The possessiveness in his voice should have scared her. Instead, it sent heat pooling low in her belly. Promise? His laugh was dark, dangerous. Oh, you have no idea what you've just unleashed. He lifted her effortlessly, carrying her through the penthouse to a bedroom that screamed wealth and power. The bed was massive, covered in black silk sheets. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but Minho pressed a button that darkened them to privacy glass. He set her down with surprising gentleness, then stepped back. His eyes raked over her, hot and hungry. Take off the rest, slowly. I want to see every inch of what's about to become mine. Belfrek's hands shook as she reached for the clasp of her top. The silver fabric fell away, revealing curves that made his jaw clench. Minho watched with an intensity that made her skin burn, but he didn't move, didn't touch, just watched with eyes that devoured every inch of her. When she stood before him completely bare, vulnerable and exposed, Minho's control was hanging by a thread. She could see it in the tension of his shoulders, the clench of his jaw, the way his hands fisted at his sides. Lie down, he commanded, in the center of the bed. Belfrek climbed onto the silk sheets, hyper-aware of every sensation. The cool fabric against her heated skin, the weight of his gaze, the thundering of her own heartbeat. Minho removed his shirt with economical movements, revealing a body that made her breath catch. Lean muscle, defined abs, that dragon tattoo that started at his neck and wound down his shoulder and chest, scars that told stories of a violent life. He was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure.
When he joined her on the bed, his body covered hers, skin against skin for the first time. "You're shaking," he observed, his voice softer than she expected. "I'm nervous." "Good, you should be." His hand traced down her side, learning the landscape of her body. "But I'll take care of you, I promise." What followed was an education in pleasure and passion. Minho kept his word. He wasn't gentle, but he was mindful of her inexperience. He took his time exploring her body, learning what made her gasp, what made her arch into his touch, what made her cry out his name. He brought her to the edge again and again, building her desperation until she was begging for him without words. When he finally claimed her completely, the brief moment of discomfort quickly gave way to something far more intense. Minho moved with controlled power, watching her face, adjusting until he found the rhythm that made her lose her mind. He drove into her with increasing intensity, each movement deliberate and deep, marking her in ways that went beyond the physical. "Mine," he growled against her neck. "Say it. Tell me who you belong to." "You." Her voice broke on the word. "I belong to you." "Damn right." His pace increased, chasing both their releases. "All mine. No one else gets to touch you. No one else gets to see you like this." The possessiveness pushed her over the edge. Her body clenched around him as waves of pleasure crashed through her, stronger than anything she'd imagined. Minho followed moments later, his own release shuddering through him as he buried himself deep. They stayed like that for long moments, both breathing hard, hearts pounding in sync. When he finally withdrew, Belfrek winced slightly at the unfamiliar soreness. Minho noticed immediately. "Bath," he said, lifting her carefully. "Then food. Then we're doing that again. But I'll take my time. Make sure you enjoy every second." "Again?" Belfrec's eyes widened. Tonight, tonight, tomorrow, every day until you understand that you're mine now. His lips found hers, surprisingly tender. And I take care of what's mine. The following morning, Belfrec woke in Minho's bed, body aching in places she'd never ached before. Sunlight streamed through the windows. She was alone, but there was a note on the pillow. Business meeting. Back by noon. Don't leave. We have things to discuss. The words made her stomach flip. What had she done? She'd given her innocence to a mafia boss in exchange for money. She'd let him claim her in every way possible. She'd begged him for it. Heat flooded her face at the memory of the things she'd said, the sounds she'd made. But more than embarrassment, she felt something else. Satisfaction. Rightness. Like a piece of her that had always been missing had finally clicked into place. She found clothes laid out in the bathroom, expensive loungewear that somehow fit perfectly. How did he know her size? The thought should have been creepy. Instead, it felt like being seen, known, cared for. By the time Minho returned, she'd showered, eaten the breakfast his staff brought, and worked herself into a nervous wreck. He found her on the balcony, staring out at the city. We need to talk. His voice was serious. About last night. She couldn't meet his eyes. About what happens now. Last night changed everything. Minho moved to stand beside her. I meant what I said. You're mine now, but that means you need to understand what my world entails. I know you're dangerous. I know you do illegal things. It's more than that. He turned her to face him. I have enemies, rivals who would use you against me. Being with me puts a target on your back. Then teach me to protect myself. His eyes widened slightly. You're not scared? I'm terrified. Belfrec's voice was steady despite the fear. But I'm more terrified of going back to my life before you, so if being with you means danger, then teach me how to survive it. Something shifted in his expression. Admiration, respect, possession. You're unlike anyone I've ever met. Is that good or bad? It's everything. He pulled her close, his hands spanning her waist possessively. I'm going to keep you, Belfrec. I'm going to protect you, provide for you, worship you. But you need to be sure, because once the world knows you're mine, there's no going back to anonymity. I don't want anonymity. I want you. The kiss was deep and claiming, a seal on the promise they were making to each other. When they finally broke apart, Minho rested his forehead against hers. Then we do this right. I'm taking you off that stage. You're done at the club, but the money? I'll handle your mother's medical bills, your visa, everything. His voice was firm. You don't work for anyone but me now.
And what exactly will I be doing for you? His smile was pure sin. Whatever I tell you to. Starting with moving into this penthouse permanently. Possessive much? You have no idea. His hands tightened on her waist. But you'll learn. The next few days were a blur of new experiences. Minho was true to his word. He paid off her debts, arranged for her mother's treatments, and somehow made her visa issues disappear. In return, Belfrec moved into his world completely. She learned that Minho's empire was vast. Real estate, shipping, entertainment, all legitimate fronts for less legal activities. She met his inner circle. Park Tae-hyun, his second-in-command, who looked at her with barely disguised suspicion. Choi Jin-woo, his tech expert, who seemed amused by his boss's sudden obsession. And Lee Seo-jun, his enforcer, who simply nodded acceptance. You're really keeping her? Tae-hyun asked in Korean, not bothering to lower his voice even though they all sat in Minho's office. Belfrec's Korean wasn't perfect, but she understood enough. She watched Minho's expression harden. She stays. The words carried absolute authority. And you'll treat her with the same respect you show me. Understood? Taehyun's jaw clenched, but he bowed his head. Understood. Later, Belfrec confronted Minho about it. They don't think I belong here. They don't know you yet. He pulled her onto his lap, unconcerned. Give them time. And if they never accept me, then they'll learn to hide it better. His hand cupped her face. You're mine, Belfrec. That makes you untouchable. Anyone who disrespects you disrespects me. The possessiveness should have bothered her. Instead, it made her feel safe, protected, valued in a way she'd never experienced. That night, Minho took her to dinner at an exclusive restaurant. The kind where you needed connections just to make a reservation. Belfrec wore a dress he'd bought her, black and elegant, hugging every curve. Heads turned when they entered. They're staring. She kept her voice low. Let them. Minho's hand found the small of her back. They're staring because you're beautiful. Because you're with me. Because they're trying to figure out how a nobody from Lagos ended up on the arm of Kang Minho. The word stung, but before she could respond, he leaned close. And they'll never understand that you're not just on my arm. You're in my blood, under my skin. In my head every waking moment. The intensity in his voice made her breath catch. Minho, I'm obsessed with you. His admission was low, fierce, completely, irrationally obsessed. And I don't care who knows it. Dinner was interrupted by a woman approaching their table. Beautiful, elegant, and clearly Korean. She spoke rapid Korean to Minho, her tone sharp, possessive. Belfrek caught enough to understand this was Yu Ji-won. Who is she? Ji-won's English was accented but clear as she looked at Belfrek. Your latest charity case? Belfrek opened her mouth to respond, but Minho was faster. His hand found Belfrek's thigh under the table, squeezing possessively. She's mine, that's all you need to know. Now leave before I have you removed. Ji-won's face flushed with anger. You're making a mistake, she's using you. No, Minho's voice dropped to dangerous levels. You're making a mistake by still standing here. You have 5 seconds to walk away. 4, 3. Ji-won left, but not before shooting Belfrek a look of pure hatred. You just made me an enemy. Belfrek tried to keep her voice steady. You were already her enemy the moment I chose you over her. He lifted her hand to his lips. But don't worry, Ji-won knows better than to actually act on her jealousy. Are you sure about that? Minho's smile was cold, positive. Because she knows what happens to people who hurt what's mine.
Later that night, back at the penthouse, Minho showed Belfrek exactly how possessive he could be. He took his time, proving that he'd memorized every sensitive spot, every sound that drove her wild. Their connection deepened with each touch, each kiss, each whispered word of possession and surrender. And when she finally came apart under his skilled hands and body, when she cried out his name in ecstasy, he looked at her with something that might have been love. Mine. The word was a growl, a prayer, a promise. Forever mine, forever yours. She pulled him down for a kiss. Forever. But forever came with complications. The next morning, Belfrek woke to shouting. She stumbled out of bed, following the sound to Minho's office. He was on the phone, his voice sharp with anger, spitting rapid Korean. When he hung up, his expression was thunderous. What's wrong? Belfrek approached cautiously. Ji-won. His fist slammed on the desk. She's spreading rumors, telling people you're a prostitute I bought, that you're diseased, that I'm embarrassing my family by parading you around. Belfrek's stomach dropped. What are you going to do? What I should have done years ago. His voice was cold. Destroy her credibility completely. Minho, no. He crossed to her, hands gentle despite the rage in his eyes. She went after you. That's unforgivable. By tonight, Yu Ji-won will be ruined socially, financially, and professionally. And everyone will know it's because she insulted what's mine. That seems excessive. That's justice. He kissed her forehead. No one hurts you without consequences. But instead of feeling protected, Belfrek felt the first stirrings of unease. This power Minho wielded, this absolute control, it was intoxicating. But it was also terrifying. What happened when that power turned on her? What happened if she ever wanted to leave? The thought chilled her. Because deep down, she knew the answer. Minho wouldn't let her go. Not now. Not ever. She'd traded one cage for another, except this cage was gilded, and the man holding the key looked at her like she was oxygen. And God help her, she was starting to need him just as much.
That evening, news broke that Yu Ji-won had been arrested for embezzlement. Evidence had mysteriously surfaced, showing she'd been stealing from her family's company for years. Her reputation was destroyed within hours. You did that, Belfrek confronted Minho. You destroyed her life. I protected yours. He didn't look up from his drink. She made her choice when she came after you. This isn't protection, this is revenge. Call it what you want. His eyes finally met hers. But understand this. Anyone who threatens you, anyone who insults you, anyone who even looks at you wrong, they'll face consequences. That's what it means to be mine. I didn't ask for this. You asked for me. His voice was hard. This is part of who I am. I don't forgive, I don't forget. And I sure as hell don't let anyone hurt what belongs to me. I'm not property. No, you're mine. There's a difference. Is there? The question hung between them like a blade. Minho set down his glass and crossed to her. His hands cupped her face with surprising gentleness. I love you. The admission came rough, like it cost him. I'm completely in love with you, Belfrek. And I know that's fast. I know it's intense. But that's who I am. I don't do anything halfway. Tears burned her eyes. I love you too, but this scares me. This power you have, the way you wield it, I'll never use it against you. His forehead rested against hers. Never. You're the only person in this world who's safe from me. Promise? I promise. On everything I am, everything I have, I promise. She wanted to believe him. Desperately wanted to trust that this beautiful, dangerous man wouldn't eventually destroy her. But a small voice whispered that you can't love a monster without eventually becoming one yourself. Minho kissed her, deep and claiming, and Belfrek let herself fall into it. Let herself believe that love could survive in darkness, that they could build something real in the shadows of his empire. But as she surrendered to his touch, as he carried her to bed, and showed her again how thoroughly she belonged to him through passion that left them both breathless and satisfied, neither of them saw the storm gathering on the horizon. Because Yu Ji-won's family was powerful, and they didn't take insults lightly. Across the city, in an office building that rivaled Minho's, Ji-won's father made a phone call. His voice was calm, measured, deadly. The girl, find out everything about her. Every weakness, every secret. And when you do, we'll show Kang Minho what happens when he humiliates our family. The war was beginning, and Belfrek was about to learn that being loved by a monster meant becoming a target for other monsters.
3 weeks passed in a haze of passion and luxury. Belfrek learned to navigate Minho's world with increasing confidence. She attended business dinners where millions were discussed casually. She smiled through charity galas where women in diamonds whispered behind manicured hands. She became fluent in the language of power, even as she struggled with actual Korean. Minho was insatiable. He made love to her in his office between meetings, against the windows overlooking Seoul. In the back of his car while his driver pretended deafness. He was addicted to her, and he made no effort to hide it. "You're going to get us caught," Belfrek gasped one afternoon as his hand slid under her dress during a supposedly important video conference. "Let them watch." His fingers found their destination, and she had to bite her lip to stay quiet. "Let them see who you belong to." She struggled to maintain composure while he worked magic with his touch, bringing her to a silent climax while maintaining eye contact with the camera. The executives continued talking, oblivious. Later that night, he made her pay for staying quiet. He took his time exploring every inch of her body, bringing her to the peak again and again before finally giving her what she begged for. "Never hide your pleasure from me again." His voice was command and promise. "I want to hear every sound, every gasp, every moan. Understood?" "Yes." The word was a sob. "Yes, I understand." "Good. Because tomorrow, we're going somewhere special." The next morning, Minho's private jet took them to Jeju Island. Belfrek stared out the window, processing the casual wealth of chartering a plane for a weekend trip. "Why Jeju?" she asked as they flew over the ocean. "Because I want you away from Seoul, away from prying eyes and business obligations." Minho pulled her onto his lap. "I want you all to myself for 72 hours. The villa he'd rented was perched on a cliff overlooking the sea, floor-to-ceiling glass walls, infinity pool, privacy so complete they could have been the only two people in the world. "It's beautiful," Belfrek breathed, taking in the view. "You're beautiful." Minho came up behind her, arms wrapping around her waist. "Everything else is just scenery." They spent the first day lost in each other. Minho made love to her slowly, thoroughly, worshipping every inch of her body like he was memorizing scripture. When sunset painted the sky gold and pink, they moved to the pool, and he claimed her again under the open sky, water lapping at their joined bodies as they moved together in perfect rhythm. "I could stay here forever," Belfrek sighed later, wrapped in his arms on a lounge chair, watching stars emerge. "Then let's stay." His hand stroked her hair. "I'll buy this villa. We'll disappear. Just you and me." "You don't mean that, don't I?" He tilted her face up to meet his eyes. "What do I need beyond you? The business? The empire? It's all just noise. You're the only thing that matters." The intensity in his voice made her chest tight. "What happened to you? To make you like this?" His expression shuddered slightly. "Like what? So intense, so possessive, so desperate to hold on to me like I might disappear." For a long moment, Minho was silent. Then he spoke, his voice rough with old pain. "I was engaged once, 5 years ago. Her name was Minji. We grew up together. Our families arranged it. Belfrek stayed quiet, sensing he needed to tell this story. I thought I loved her. Maybe I did in my own way, but she didn't love me. She loved my rival, Kim Jae-sung. They'd been having an affair for 2 years before I found out. His jaw clenched. She was going to leave me the day after our wedding, take half my assets in a prenup loophole and run to him. What did you do? I found out 3 days before the wedding, confronted her. She laughed in my face, said I was cold, unfeeling, that being with me was like being with a corpse. He paused. She wasn't wrong. I'd never really let myself feel anything, never let anyone close enough to matter. And Jae-sung? Dead within a week. Car accident. Very tragic. Minho's voice held no remorse. Minji disappeared to Europe. Last I heard, she married a banker in Switzerland. You killed him. Yes. His eyes met hers, unflinching. And I'd do it again. He tried to steal from me. He made me look like a fool, and he paid the price.
Belfrek should have been horrified, should have seen this as the red flag it was. But instead she found herself asking, "Do you still love her?" Minho's laugh was bitter. "I never loved her. I see that now. What I felt for her was ownership, obligation, habit. Nothing like what I feel for you. And what do you feel for me? Everything." His hand cupped her face. Terror that you'll realize you can do better. Rage at the thought of anyone else touching you. Desperation to keep you close. Obsession that borders on madness. He kissed her softly. "You've ruined me for anyone else, Belfrek. Completely and irrevocably ruined me." "Good," she pulled him closer. "Because you've ruined me too." They made love again under the stars, slow and tender, a claiming that went beyond physical. When Belfrek fell asleep in his arms, she felt safe, cherished, loved. She had no idea that back in Seoul, the Yu family's investigation into her background had just uncovered something devastating. The second day in Jeju started with breakfast in bed and lazy morning intimacy. They swam in the pool, made love in the shower, and spent the afternoon exploring the island. Minho was different here, relaxed, almost playful. He bought her street food from vendors and laughed when she got sauce on her nose. "This is the real you," Belfrek said as they walked hand in hand along the beach. "Not the cold Mafia boss. This, maybe," he pulled her close. "Or maybe this is who I become with you. Either way, I like it better." That evening, as the sun set over the ocean, Minho led her to a secluded part of the beach. Candles had been arranged in the sand, creating a path to a blanket and champagne. "What is this?" Belfrek's heart raced. Minho dropped to one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. "I know it's fast, I know it's crazy, but I don't care." He opened the box, revealing a ring that caught the fading light. Diamond so large it seemed obscene. "Marry me, Belfrek. Be mine forever. Let me spend the rest of my life proving you're the best thing that ever happened to me." Tears streamed down her face. "Minho, say yes." His voice cracked slightly. "Please say yes." She should have said no. Should have pointed out they'd known each other less than 2 months. Should have recognized this for the possessive claiming it was. But looking at this dangerous man on his knees, vulnerability written across his face, she couldn't. "Yes," the word came out choked. "Yes, I'll marry you." He surged up, kissing her desperately, sliding the ring onto her finger. "Mine." The word was reverent. "Forever mine. Forever yours." They made love on that beach, waves lapping at their feet, the promise of forever sealed in gasps and moans and whispered declarations. By the time they returned to the villa, Belfrek was wearing his ring and carrying the weight of a decision that would change everything. The third morning in Jeju, Minho's phone wouldn't stop ringing. He ignored it until Belfrek insisted he answer. "What?" His voice was sharp. Then his expression changed, darkened. "When?" She watched his jaw clench, his free hand forming a fist. "Handle it, I'll be back tonight." He hung up and looked at Belfrek with barely controlled rage. "We need to leave, now." "What's wrong?" "The Yu family made a move. They've frozen several of my accounts, spread rumors that I'm under investigation for tax fraud, and they've sent people to the club where you used to work. Why would they do that?" "Because they're looking for ammunition against me." His voice was ice. "And you're the most obvious target." The flight back to Seoul was tense. Minho made call after call, his Korean rapid and furious. Belfrek sat quietly, twisting the engagement ring on her finger, feeling the weight of the target she'd become. When they landed, Taehyun was waiting with news that made Minho's expression murderous. "They found someone." Taehyun's voice was grim. A girl from the club. She talked. Told them about Belfrec's visa issues. About the money you paid for her mother's treatment. They're spinning it as you trafficking her. Minho's fist connected with the car window, cracking it. Who? Does it matter? They have enough to cause problems. The media's already picking up the story. Then we shut it down. All of it. Find the girl who talked. Make sure she recants. Pay off the journalists. And send a message to the Yu family that if they want war, they'll get one. Minho, Belfrec touched his arm. Maybe we should just clear the air. Tell the truth.
The truth? He looked at her. That I'm obsessed with you? That I'd burn soul to the ground to keep you? That I paid your debts and solved your visa issues because I wanted to own you? You don't own me, don't I? His eyes were dark. You wear my ring. You sleep in my bed. You carry my name. Or you will soon. If that's not ownership, what is it? It's love. Love and possession aren't mutually exclusive. He pulled her close. Not for me. I love you so much it's become possession, and I won't apologize for it. That night, the first news story broke. Mafia boss's foreign mistress. The article was garbage, full of half-truths and speculation, but it painted Belfrec as a prostitute who'd seduced Minho for money and status. She read it on her phone, stomach churning. They're calling me a whore. They're dead. Minho's voice was flat. Every journalist who published this, every source who provided information, dead by morning. You can't just kill journalists. Watch me. Minho. She grabbed his arm. This is exactly what they want. You going scorched earth, proving you're the monster they say you are. I am a monster. His eyes met hers. The only question is whether you can live with that. Before she could answer, his phone rang. He answered, listened, then went perfectly still. His expression turned to stone. Understood. He hung up and looked at Belfrec with something like devastation. They have your mother. What? The Yu family. They've taken your mother from the hospital. They're holding her until I publicly break our engagement and pay reparations for humiliating them. Belfrec's world tilted. My mother? But she's sick. She needs treatment. I know. His hands clenched. And they know I know. That's why they took her. Tears burned her eyes. What do we do? We get her back. His voice turned cold, tactical. And then we end the Yu family permanently. How? Leave that to me. He pulled her close. But Belfrec, this is going to get ugly. Violent. Are you ready for that? She thought about her mother, sick and scared, in the hands of people who saw her as leverage. She thought about the life she'd built with Minho, complicated and intense but hers. She thought about the ring on her finger and the promises they'd made. I'm ready. Her voice was steel. Get my mother back, and make them pay. Minho's smile was terrifying. That's my girl. Within hours, Minho's entire organization mobilized. Taehyun tracked the location where they were holding Belfrec's mother. Jinwoo hacked security systems. Seojun assembled a team. It was military precision applied to criminal enterprise. Belfrec watched it all unfold, seeing for the first time the true scope of Minho's power. This wasn't just a mafia boss. This was a general commanding an army. I'm coming with you, she announced when Minho prepared to leave. Absolutely not. She's my mother. Which is exactly why you stay here where it's safe. His voice was firm. I won't risk you, and I won't sit here while my mother's in danger. She met his eyes. You said I'm yours. That means you're mine too. We do this together or not at all. Stubborn woman. Possessive man. He pulled her into a fierce kiss. If anything happens to you, if you get so much as a scratch, I'll level the entire Yu family compound. Understood? Understood. The Yu compound was in Gangnam, a fortress of wealth and old power. Minho's team approached at midnight, professional and deadly. Belfrec wore a bulletproof vest that Minho had insisted on, her heart pounding as they breached the gates. The firefight was brief but intense. Minho moved through it like he was born for violence, every shot precise, every movement calculated. Belfrec stayed behind him, exactly where he'd told her to be, watching this man she loved become something cold and efficient. They found her mother in a basement room, tied to a chair, bruised but alive. Belfrec ran to her, tears streaming as she untied the ropes. Baby. Her mother's voice was weak. You shouldn't have come. I'll always come for you. Belfrec helped her stand. Always. How touching. A voice came from the doorway. Yu Daejung, Ji-won's father, stood flanked by guards. The African whore and her dying mother. What a pathetic sight. Minho's gun was up instantly. Let them leave. This is between us. No, this is about teaching you a lesson. Daejung's smile was cruel. You can't humiliate my family without consequences. You can't parade your foreign slut around Seoul without paying a price. Careful. Minho's voice dropped to deadly levels. You're talking about my fiancé. Fiancé? Daejung laughed. You actually plan to marry her? Introduce that to Korean high society? You'll be a laughingstock. I don't care. Minho stepped forward. Let them leave, or this ends in blood. It was already going to end in blood. Daejung nodded to his guards. Kill them all. The next few seconds happened in chaos. Guards raised weapons. Minho fired, dropping 2 instantly. Taehyun and Sojun burst in, creating covering fire. And Belfrek did the only thing she could think of. She threw herself in front of her mother as bullets flew. Pain exploded in her side. She fell, her mother screaming. Through blurring vision, she saw Minho's face transform into something inhuman. He didn't just fight, he became death itself. When the shooting stopped, every U-guard was dead. Daejung knelt, wounded, Minho's gun pressed to his head. You shot her. Minho's voice was emotionless. You put a bullet in the woman I love. It was meant for you. Daejung coughed blood. Then you should have had better aim. Minho pulled the trigger without hesitation. Belfrek! He was at her side instantly, hands pressing on the wound. His team called for medical evacuation, but his eyes never left her face. Stay with me. You hear me? Stay with me. Hurts, she gasped. I know, baby, I know, but you're going to be fine. You have to be fine. His voice cracked. I can't lose you. Not you. Her mother was crying, holding her hand. My baby, my strong baby. Love you, Mama. Belfrek's voice was fading. Love you both. Don't you dare. Minho's face was wet with tears. Don't you dare say goodbye. That's not allowed. You're mine, remember? Mine, and I don't let go of what's mine. The helicopter ride to the hospital was a blur. Minho held her the entire time, whispering promises and threats and prayers. When they finally got her into surgery, he had to be physically restrained from following. Taehyun held him back. Let them work. She needs them to work. Minho collapsed against the wall, Belfrek's blood covering his hands. If she dies, his voice broke. If she dies, I'll burn this entire city to ash. She's not going to die. Belfrek's mother sat beside him, her own injuries forgotten. She's too stubborn. Gets it from me. The surgery took 4 hours. 4 hours of Minho pacing, destroying a waiting room chair, and making calls that would reshape Seoul's underworld by morning. The Yu family was finished. Not just disgraced, erased. Their assets seized. Their name mud. Several family members fled the country. The rest faced criminal charges that Minho's lawyers ensured would stick. By the time the surgeon emerged, Minho had already rewritten the balance of power in Seoul, but none of it mattered compared to the words he needed to hear. She's stable. The surgeon looked exhausted. The bullet missed major organs. She'll need time to recover, but she'll be fine. Minho's knees nearly gave out. Can I see her? She's in recovery. Give it an hour. That hour was the longest of Minho's life. When he finally entered her room, Belfrek was awake, pale and hooked to machines, but alive and smiling weakly. You're crying. Her voice was raspy. Big bad Mafia boss is crying. Shut up. He took her hand carefully, mindful of the IVs. You scared me. Had to. She tried to laugh, winced. Keep you interested. You jumped in front of a bullet. His voice shook. You almost died, but I didn't. She squeezed his hand. We didn't. We won. We didn't win anything if I lost you. He pressed his forehead to their joined hands. Promise me. Promise me you'll never do something that stupid again. Can't promise that. Her fingers stroked his hair. If it's you or me, I'll choose you every time. That's not how this works. That's exactly how love works. She pulled his face up to meet her eyes. You'd do the same for me. He couldn't argue because she was right. I destroyed them. All of them. The Yu family is done. Good. Belfrek. They hurt my mother. They shot me. They tried to take you from me. She met his eyes. I'm glad they're destroyed. Does that make me a monster too? No. He kissed her forehead. It makes you mine. Recovery was slow but steady. Minho barely left Belfrec's side, conducting business from her hospital room, sleeping in an uncomfortable chair, refusing to go home even when she insisted. Her mother recovered quickly, and true to Minho's word, he moved her into a private facility with round-the-clock care. 1 month after the shooting, Belfrec was finally cleared to go home. Minho carried her into the penthouse despite her protests that she could walk. "I've been waiting a month to have you back here." His voice was rough. "Let me have this." He set her on the couch with infinite care, then knelt before her. "We need to talk about the wedding. Can we not plan while I'm recovering from a gunshot wound?" "I don't want to wait." His hands found hers. "I almost lost you, Belfrec. I can't go another day without making you my wife officially. Minho, marry me next week. Small ceremony. Just us, your mother, my inner circle." He kissed her knuckles. "I need to know you're mine, legally, permanently, irrevocably. You're insane. About you?" "Absolutely. So, is that a yes?" "It's always been yes." The wedding happened 7 days later in Minho's penthouse. Belfrec wore white, simple and elegant, her mother crying happy tears beside her. Minho wore a suit that cost more than most people's cars and looked at his bride like she was oxygen. When the officiant pronounced them married, Minho's kiss was tender and possessive and full of promise. "You're stuck with me now, Mrs. Kang. Good, because I'm not going anywhere." 3 months later, Belfrec stood in the bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines. Pregnant. She was pregnant with Minho's baby. Her hands shook as she processed what this meant. Minho found her there, frozen, test in hand. His expression cycled through shock, wonder, and fierce protectiveness in seconds. "We're having a baby." His voice was odd. "You're carrying my child. Are you happy? Happy?" He pulled her into his arms, careful of where she'd been shot. "I'm terrified, overwhelmed, completely unprepared." His hand moved to her still flat stomach, "and happier than I knew was possible." The pregnancy was smooth despite Belfrec's worries. Minho was impossibly overprotective, hiring a full medical team, baby-proofing the penthouse months too early, reading parenting books like they were tactical manuals. "You're going to be an amazing father," Belfrec said one night, watching him assemble a crib with intense focus. "You don't know that." "I do." She moved to his side. "Because you love fiercely, protect completely, and you'll do the same for our baby." "Our baby." He said the words like a prayer. "I can't believe we made a person. Well, technically you made a person inside me after being very enthusiastic about the process." His laugh was warm, real. "Want me to be enthusiastic again? I'm 6 months pregnant. And beautiful." He pulled her onto his lap carefully. "Absolutely stunning, glowing, perfect, smooth talker. Only for you." Their daughter was born on a spring morning, all dark curls and perfect skin, screaming her displeasure at the world. Minho held her with trembling hands, this feared crime lord reduced to tears by 7 pounds of helpless humanity. "She's perfect." He looked at Belfrec with absolute devotion. "You're perfect. You gave me everything. You gave me safety." Belfrec touched his face. "You gave me love. You saved me." "No." He kissed her softly. "You saved me. From a life of darkness. From being just a monster. You showed me what it means to be human." They named their daughter Amara. Hope. Because that's what Belfrec had brought into Minho's world. Hope that darkness could be redeemed. That love could conquer fear. That 2 people from different worlds could build something beautiful together. 6 months later, Belfrec stood in the nursery, watching Minho rock their daughter to sleep while singing Korean lullabies. Her mother was healthy, living comfortably in a facility Minho paid for. The Yu family was a distant memory, and she was married to a man who loved her with an intensity that still took her breath away. "Was it worth it?" Minho asked quietly, not looking up from their baby. "Everything you went through. The danger, the fear, getting shot. Was I worth it?" Belfrec moved to his side, wrapping her arms around both of them. "Every second, every scar, every moment of terror." She kissed his cheek. "You were worth all of it. I love you." His voice was thick with emotion. "Both of you. My entire world. And we love you." Belfrec smiled. "Our monster, our protector, our everything." As Minho looked at his wife and daughter, At the family he'd built from darkness and obsession and desperate love, he knew one truth absolutely. He'd been a monster his entire life, cold, brutal, unfeeling. But Belfrek had seen something worth saving, and in saving him, she'd given him paradise. They'd started with a transaction, a virgin trading innocence for survival, a mafia boss trading money for possession, but they'd